Hi, Misha here, your unofficial cataloger of all things imported from SIG in Switzerland by JDI/SAN Imports. It's an interesting place to be in. As years have gone on, more and more things have come in, and to be fair, interest has gone down a little bit. People still buy these, but interest in the videos has kind of dipped because it's not new anymore. It's been happening for 6 years, which is honestly good. It's good that it's kind of becoming a little routine, but it won't last. There was a time when Chinese AK imports were routine. Romanian imports like Wassers and AES 10s were routine. Hell, there was a time when Segas and Vepers were both everywhere. That's the way of imports and the way of production. So I want to kind of take note of what comes in, because we've had a lot of variations, but sometimes we only get 150 or even 20, and sometimes even 5 of one or the other. So I want to talk about them. And in this video, we're going to look at what came in at the beginning of March 2022. Except for this first one. This is one I promised I would do in the last Q&A. So let's start off with one that came in at the end of November 2021. The PE90 pistol Blum Besson Tresser whatever edition. The fancy pants one. This comes in almost the standard case, although it does have a label on each side to kind of designate that it's a little different. Otherwise, it's the same case. But it does come with a few accessories. That's why I brought the case out for the video. This is one of the few, almost really the only one now, that comes with an owner's manual. It's a thinner one than we used to get, though. And it comes with a certificate of authenticity. These are numbered. You get the standard cleaning kit. You do get a sling. It comes with a 20 round mag instead of a 30. And you get a stripper clip guide, or mag filling tool, as they call it. But of course, then you have the gun itself. Let's take it out. SIG550. Open. At first, this looks like a pretty standard 550 PE90, but with a different finish. We have a standard 20.7-inch barrel. It is not internally threaded for the blank fire device. It does have the bulge for the grenade, and it has a Swiss pattern lug. We have black hand guards. And the newer ones, like this, come with the standard bipod. This has a special finish. It's kind of a silvery, pewtery, some people even call it almost a white color. SIG calls this a satin nickel, and this is applied at the factory. And it's exclusive for the Blum edition. The top is standard again, diopter sight, SIG roundel on the back, Swiss cross up here, and it does have the area, of course, where you can mount one of the QD scope rail systems. Flipping this over, we can note that the serial number starts with BLUM, and that's because even from SIG, these are a special contract run for the Blum custom house. They're initially built by SIG and they're sent to Martin Blum's gunsmith in Funtime place, where essentially they're taken apart and rebuilt. For example, they take the upper and the lower, they deburr them, they make sure they fit together repeatedly. You know, when you open and close them, they reset at the same spot. They say that they make sure there's no friction between them. Basically that they fit well, kind of like glass together, not too tight, not too loose, yada yada. They also take the trigger group, completely disassemble it, deburr it, smooth it out, hand polish it, put it back together, and they put the serial number, or at least part of the serial number on it, so the trigger group is kind of matched to itself. They give the rear sight and the front sight the same treatment, disassembling them, making sure there are no noticeable imperfections or burrs, maybe replacing the springs with stouter ones, and in the rear side at least giving serial numbers to the components so that they are kept together. They're just tuned and fitted for consistency. The sight won't get knocked. When you rotate it, it always returns back to the exact position it was. You know the deal. The end result is a gun that is definitely quality, feeling so. To me, it feels like the mainspring has a little more oomph behind it. I didn't notice on their website that they say that they put a new mainspring in, but it feels smooth but stiffer. And when you release it, it seems to kind of go forward with a little more authority. So I wouldn't be surprised if it has an extra power spring. The trigger, take the safety off, of course, has no grit. It is nicer. Is it 20 times nicer? Maybe not, but it's smooth and consistent. If not a match grade, it's certainly a step up from the standard military. So basically, this is the Swiss equivalent of, say, something sent to the Smith & Wesson custom shop or any other custom shop, or like a Wilson Combat. You know, it's assembled, smoothed over by actual gunsmiths, not done on a production line. And these are done for competition shooting and what have you. Now, I know the older Blums came with a different rear sight and a fancier bipod. They also cost $1,000 more. So, yeah, at least the price came down. In fact, these are not retailing for a huge amount more than the standard 550 PE90. But like I said, I promised we would mention this in the last Q&A. And, I'm going to hit you with the camera. That's fun. But, no real reason to shoot it. We've fired a lot of 550 guns, including the sniper rifles, so just wanted to talk about its features. They are nice. They're not military, so not exactly my bag, personally, but I definitely respect them. They definitely feel very nice. Okay, with that done, let us move on to the new batch for 2022. Dealing with customers, there are two guns in this batch that people are particularly interested in and asking a lot of questions about. This is one of them, and this is the one that we showed off in the interview with Dave. The SIG SG751 SOCOM. This is, of course, chambered for 7.62 NATO, will also fire 308 just fine. And it is quite similar to the 751s that came in last year that were very successful. But it has a few neat new features. It came in with a 16-inch barrel, which is good. And I'm not a big fan of how the 20s look on these. I know that they're supposed to be even more accurate, but this is a pretty heavy barrel already. 16 inches is good enough. And we knew that they were also going to come with the military grade quad rail. This is actually what the Swiss Special Forces use on their guns, although their guns have 14.3 inch barrels. We have a steel upper and an alloy lower. All of the 751s are alloy lowers. None of them have steel. We have a green pistol grip, and we have a Cerakote kind of green metal handguard, and then we have a Cerakote gray finish to the upper and lower. We have the standard pick rail with flip up rear sight and flip up front. So far, this is how we expected these to come in. Although in the very beginning they were going to be FDE, they turned out to be in gray. I think something most customers prefer. Comes with a 20 round mag, have a standard hold open here, standard markings. These do have the CM prefix serial, but unlike the batch from last year, it's not in an oval, it's not in a cutout. So I know Dave thought the cutout was neat, and I don't think he's wrong. Kind of reminded me of those Daewoo K2s from the 80s. Most people I've talked to prefer this style, where it's smoothly installed. So that's one nice surprise. Another is this muzzle brake. A few people think that the 751 is a little recoily, and this is a pretty effective brake. Of course, it's removable. It's threaded 5/8 by 24, so very standard for a .30 caliber. Put whatever you want on it, including a suppressor, because another unexpected neat feature, this has the 4-position, not 2-position gas valve. So we have standard, we have adverse, we have a dedicated suppressor setting, and we have a fully shut off if you really want to do the whole silent running thing. It does have the loop here for the bayonet lug, and a bayonet lug can be installed, but it needs to be the special type meant to work with the handguard, because the front of the handguard goes into the back of the loop to kind of anchor it better. That's one thing too we pointed out in the interview video. This handguard is very rock solid. Every one of these I pulled out of the box, the handguard is just sturdy and stable. So all in all, it's an impressive kind of update to the already popular 751. And it's neat to kind of have the SOCOM moniker. When I thought it was just going to be a railed handguard, I was like, that's kind of a change in the name. But given that it has this suppressor-ready gas valve and it actually comes with a good muzzle brake, those couple of upgrades, hey, that's a couple $100. I'll take it. The trigger on these is actually quite nice, I believe. And it's a very smooth throw, pretty standard ergonomics. While we didn't shoot one of these, last year we did shoot one of the standard 751s, and it ran very well. But yeah, this is something that has garnered a lot of attention. More 20 round mags will be coming in, and of course you can buy an AR-15 adapter or a standard Swiss and sticker back here once it's privately owned. Enough said about that.
I am rolling. Ready when you are.
Alright, very first shots out of the sapper. Helps if I take the safety off. It's kind of an awkward place safety on this one.
Which one was that one?
The SG751, it's called a sapper, Swiss Arms precision rifle.
That one's loud.
308.
The second model variant customers are really asking about a lot surprises me a little bit, and we did not show this one in the interview video. And it is a unique and, in some ways, a first-time version. This is a standard SG553, specifically a 553-2, with the short barrel, the SB, chambered for 5.56, 223, taking the standard Swiss magazine. But it does have a few things that set it apart. It comes with a green handguard and green pistol grip. It has more or less standard gray upper, and it has a gray lower. But for the first time, this is a Cerakote gray. Before, whenever SIG would do an alloy lower, it was always in kind of that charcoal black. Now they're starting to color them. And this is an alloy lower, which I actually like. These are not cast, they're actually machined. And while on paper they're only a few ounces lighter, when you're dealing with a gun like this, it's a little over 6 pounds already. A few ounces really matters. If you pick one of these up with an alloy lower and then a steel, you will feel a difference, especially because it's right over your hands here. And so having a gray alloy lower to match a gray classic upper with the green really is a unique, cool, and it's proving to be a very popular configuration. Has the standard 1913 rail on top, all that good stuff. Standard end plate. Again, right now the arm brace adapters are available, so that's a good option if you don't want a SBR. Comes with one 30-round mag. These are coming with the stud mags, at least right now. Now the barrel is kind of what I think of as the NATO barrel. It has the 1/7 twist, and it's threaded half by 28. And I believe this one just has the 2-position regulator. Let me test it out real quick. Yeah, just the standard and adverse settings. But of course, the regulator comes right out. You could easily replace it with the 4-position if you wanted to. Up to you. It's kind of a classic one, but it is short, compact, and light. And this was a pretty limited run, so this might appeal to a good number of people. Let me know what you think. I mean, function-wise, it's, you know, like any of the others. Decent enough trigger. I will point out, I've always kind of noted that the alloy lower fits a little tighter than the steel, but that could just be me. But there's no wiggle wobble upper lower play. They line up very nicely. So yeah, I'm really happy that people are pleased with this configuration. I know that's one that Dave was very excited about when SIG offered it. But it was far from the only 553 in the mix. Here we have an SG553, also in 5.56, in the LB configuration. Long barrel. This is a 13.7 inch. It has the grenade ring. It has the integrated flash hider. This is a one-piece barrel. It is internally threaded for a blank fire device or a suppressor. And it does have the spot for the bayonet lug. It doesn't come with one, but right now both the Swiss and NATO lugs are available, and they're like 25 bucks. So you can mount a bayonet on it if you choose. Standard sight. But as we move back here, we see something that's a little unique. This comes from the factory with the Stenag lower. SIG calls this the 553 Alus. It's an aluminum milled lower. it takes AR mags. Now it actually comes with a standard P mag. I just put a generic GI mag in it because it was to hand, just to show you. I know people don't necessarily like the look of the magwell as well on this one, but the fact that it takes very readily available mags, and you don't have to look for Swiss mags, which are running $70, $80 a pop right now. Yeah, I can understand the allure, and you don't lose any functionality. It still has an automatic last round hold open with the release, ambidextrous safety. It has an AR style fold down trigger guard instead of the hinge style, but it still has a glove accessible guard. You've seen on mine, 551, that these lowers work very well, and of course they're modular. You can put a Swiss lower on it if you wish. But this was a very small run they did, I think only like 15 or 20. And SIG does offer these not just for the American commercial market. They actually originally made this lower for export customers, for example maybe France or anyone else that maybe was using M16 types. So this is a military spec lower. I would also say this would be a good candidate with the short barrel to put the brace adapter on, because the thing we use as a brace adapter actually started off as an M4 AR-15 stock adapter, again originally designed for export military customers who wanted to run something other than the Swiss stock. So these are not cheaply made, hastily designed pieces for us. These are actual military equipment, just not for the Swiss military. But hey, options are good, and it's a neat configuration. I've always been a fan of the LB. This is essentially like their M4 barrel length. And yeah, we got a few of these in. And with that, we'll move on.
53 LB Army. With brass Gila. Now, because why not, let's fire a few rounds of Steel Wolf. Good there?
Good.
So have it open.
Next, we return to the 553 SB configuration. And this is a bit of an odd duck. And these were a bit of a surprise. Sometimes SIG will do that. Send guns you maybe don't order, or offer guns at the very last minute asking if you want them. That's because they're usually built from leftover military contract parts. This is actually quite similar to the other SB we looked at, but it has its alloy lower still in the black. Up until now, this is how they all came in, if they were alloy. And it's got a gray steel upper, but it's got the diopter sights, traditional diopters, rather than pick rail. So it's kind of an interesting combo of a very modern lower with the more traditional sights, but it's cool. And it also has the more classic, as I think of it, the commando style muzzle device. This is a 3-prong Rotex type flash hider that they used all the way back on the 552 and still use today. And this one's on 14x1 left-hand threads, so kind of AK thread pattern, rather than half by 28. So it's more of the traditional pattern. One nice thing about the left-hand threads, as the bullets come out, they actually serve to tighten a muzzle device instead of loosen it. So that there's an advantage there. I'm not sure if this is a 1 in 7 or 1 in 10 twist, but typically if you see this device in the 14mm thread, typically those are -1s, so 1 in 10 twist. Now we asked SIG last year when we were doing the sniper, maybe it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I guess it was 2 years ago now. Jeez, time flies. And they said the 1 in 10 would perfectly stabilize 100 excuse me, 62, 63 grain, up to 69 grain projectiles. So that's what SIG says. Comes with 130 round mag. Kind of ironically, this gray upper and alloy black lower is the configuration that my own 553 SB is in. You know, hell, I'm blind, what do I care? I think I've got some shooting clips of that one, just to show a gun in similar configuration to this being fired, although mine has the pick rail instead of the diopter sides. Anyway, kind of a last minute thing that came in, but anytime we get a gun with the diopters, people really do like them, because as time goes on and pick antennae rails become more and more the standard, fancy iron sights are just falling by the wayside. One thing to note too, whenever you have a diopter instead of a pick rail, you get the upswept cocking handle. If you get a pick rail gun, the handle is more horizontal, it's straight out. Pretty obvious why, but you know, little fact that sometimes might get overlooked. So yeah, let's show mine at the range, and then let's move on and talk about sometimes you want a SIG, but maybe you don't want a NATO caliber.
553 SB, one last mag.
Well, if you do want another caliber, you're in luck. Another batch of SG553 RPs, R standing for Russian, came in. It seems like SIG does about one batch, maybe two a year, and we've seen larger batches early on of about 100, but now they're doing them in batches of about 40 or 50. And this is a really neat variant, and we have fired one before, not exactly one of these, but one of the earlier ones, and it was a lot of fun. They're top-notch reliable, as you'd expect from SIG. In fact, yeah, I'll dig up a few old clips of this one, well, one of these at the range. Why not? Liven things up a bit.
SG553R.
Now, I will say trying to fire them as exclusively a pistol without anything isn't much fun. You're going to need to either SBR, put an extension on, or add an arm brace. This is where one of these adapters comes in real handy. You just remove the end plate here, put this on in its place, and you can either put the pin back and have it fold. It's got the same push button as the stock would. Or if you don't want it to fold, or maybe you're in a state where you can't have it fold for whatever reason, it's kind of neat. It actually comes with a roll pin you can install here, and that will lock the button in the forward position so you can't depress it. So if you have the pin in, you just slide it in the side like the plate, and you can attach any AR-15 brace adapter. Or heck, if you were doing an SBR, you could use this to install an M4 stock, or I think an M16A1 stock would look pretty interesting. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring out one of the adapters. It's worth noting that they do have slightly different versions for the alloy lower and steel, and that's because the dimensions are a little different. The steel are a little looser, the alloys are a little tighter, frankly. Now, all of the 553Rs that have the alloy lower, they've never done a steel. It does have the folding trigger guard. It does have the standard A and B safety. It feeds from AK mags, most types. It comes with a mag pole. We've tried it with Bakelite, steel, WBP. Maybe some of your drums and coffin mags may not fit. I'm not sure, just kind of depends. But the vast majority of inexpensive AK mags will work in it, which is great. It means you don't have to buy an exclusive proprietary mag. Now, no bolt hole open because AK mags don't have bolt hole opens. Sorry, that's just part of it. And this too is a military type gun. Of course, this is semi-auto only, but these were initially designed for the Russian FSB. They received a contract around 2008, 2009, and so they were designing these to run in full auto and run with suppressors, yada yada, and did deliver some, but after 2014 in the Crimean incident, Switzerland cut Russia off, which is ultimately how we ended up getting the 553R in America. They'd done all the work. Shame to let it go to waste. Standard 553 handguard and linked gas system. Standard sight. This is the LB, but this is the LB two-piece barrel. The barrel is 11.9 inches long, and it's threaded 5/8 by 24. It has a removable, notice the wrench flats, flash hider. I actually really like this flash hider. It's kind of a cool look. Very bird cagey. So you can put whatever you want. And one of the surprises with these 553Rs, seems like every time they send these over, they're a little bit different. Different furniture color, what have you. This one comes with a 4-way gas regulator. Again, with a suppressor setting. So this would be an ideal one with a threaded barrel and 4-way selector to run suppressed. Still has the bulge, and it has the loop for the bayo lug if you wanted to do that. It's a shame there's not an AK bayonet adapter. That'd be kind of wild. Standard steel upper. Yes, I did that. And yeah. Now, in 2021, before the world went mad for the second time, this was probably the most popular model that came in last May. These are still selling well, but people are a little nervous about the availability of 760 by 39 ammo. To that I say, don't worry too much. There are too many guns in this country that are chambered for this, so we will get it. Either domestic manufacturer or any of the myriad foreign users that still issue 760 by 39. But yeah, the Russian cheap ammo is unfortunately very much gone. Such is life, folks. But that still doesn't make this 553R not a cool gun. As far as I know, they've only ever done this, at least sent them over here in the LB variant. Yeah, neato. With that, we have one more gun that came in, one more configuration. And it's quite possibly my favorite. Here we have another 553 SB, and this is the one we also showed in the video with the 751, chambered for 5.56, 223. I just really think this is a cool configuration. 8.9 inch barrel. It is threaded 14 by 1 left hand. Rotex muzzle device, flash hider. Just the 2-way gas regulator. 1 in 10 twist. So the Swiss military spec. All black finish. And what's kind of interesting, this is a steel black lower. Steel black lowers, while not as uncommon as gray alloy, they're not common. And then of course, standard upper with Swiss crest, diopter sights, SIG roundel on the back. It's standard. Maybe a little understated even, but I think it's really cool. In some ways, this reminds me of the first ones that came in through M+M Colorado gun sales. They did a version with pick rail and a version with diopters, and they were the SB, and they usually shipped them with either a bird cage or a 3-prong, but those had the alloy lower. This being steel is just kind of neat. This would be another good candidate for the brace adapter if you do not want to SBR it. And if you like diopters but also like to run red dots sometimes, well, that's covered too. Recently, a batch of the SIG brand QD top rail sections, this is standard 1913 Picatinny, came in as well. And these kind of give you the best of both worlds. You get a rail that's still mounted quite low, but high enough that an optic should be able to come over your rear sight. They are a military grade rail. They also have a screw on them here where you can adjust the tension to make them fit tighter or looser if a gun isn't. And that's enough of a rail section to attach any single optic, frankly, and it doesn't really add any weight. So yeah, it's kind of a good way to go. And these come off very, very nice and easy. You just press back and pull up. Of course, if I had an optic on it, you'd want to tension it down a bit, but it has a spring-loaded plunger in the back and a dovetail in the front, and those correspond with the hole in the base of the rear sight and the dovetail where the Swiss crest is. So that's an option if you want diopters and a rail. Like I said, I know nothing super earth-shattering, but these are unique configurations and small batches of each came in. And I just want to document all that we've been fortunate enough to receive, because one day, sooner or later, we will stop receiving these. Be it the US government changing import regulations, the Swiss government changing their export regs, heck, maybe even just Dave retiring and JDI closing and no one else stepping in to take over, or at least no one competent. Or maybe even SIG might stop for whatever reason, moving on to a newer model gun. You don't know with such things. Like I said, I think this is my favorite, although that 751, they're all cool, but that 751 SOCOM is pretty badassery too. It's kind of a toss-up. But I do like how compact and understated this guy is. But if you've stayed with me this long, which one's your favorite? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I'm just trying to share and be informative for the community. That is all, folks. But appreciate you hanging out with me and yet again talking Swiss guns. We've done 2 interviews with Dave from JDI, so if you haven't seen those, you might check them out. He does share some interesting news. It does seem like here in March of 2022, the only for sure imports coming in the future are a series of Alpine, so the white models. After that, who knows? There's nothing on the drawing board right this moment, but that can and hopefully will change. But I think we've been incredibly fortunate. I'd love to see this kind of access for, say, HK products here with all these different models and variants, wouldn't you? Or even just Arsenal to import this many types of guns. They're good at importing a couple of the same gun in large numbers, but yeah. But yeah, I would really like to hear which ones you liked. And as always, if you could, please do like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to help support us in this coming up on shooting season, spring and summer, please check out the link to the Patreon page. This is Misha. Catch you very soon next time.